Hi, this is Wendy from Knitters Brewing, and I'm going to show you how to work this pretty two-color herringbone stitch pattern that I'm showing here. It takes 3 rows or 3 rounds, depending on whether you're working flat or in the round as I am, to accomplish this. And I'll just give you a warning right now, your yarn is going to get really tangled as you're doing round 2, but it'll get untangled as you do round 3, and then you'll have a happy ending there. So let's get started with round 1. The first round of the herringbone pattern is one in which we alternate one stitch with one color with one stitch with the other color, as you can see I've started doing here. Now the thing you don't want to do is spend a lot of time picking up and dropping your yarn. Like, you don't want to knit one in red and then drop that tail and then pick up the green one and then knit with that and then drop that tail. It takes forever. So I'm going to try to show you a couple techniques here that might speed it up for you. The first one is to put both of your yarns over your right finger. This is one for throwers. I think it's a little awkward, but I will show you anyway. They do make a plastic stranding guide that you can slip over your finger. I'll show that in another video that helps keep your yarns separated for this purpose. But anyway, here we go. So you insert as if to knit, and then wrap your yarn in such a manner that you only catch the color that you want, and then just alternate them in that manner. So it's not too hard, and it keeps the tension in the back pretty even, like you want it to be. So it's not real fast, but it is faster than picking up yarn and dropping it. Now the second method that I'm going to show you is kind of the same thing, but it's more for the continental style, for the pickers as we call them. This I think is a little easier to do if you haven't tried continental. It's nice to know how to do it for the sake of doing color work, if nothing else. So here you're just kind of picking it, and again the plastic guide that you can put over your finger to hold your yarns to keep them a little more separate can be a handy little thing. Alright, so you just continue in that manner, picking the loops and pulling them through, and you get the same result. Now the last method I'm going to show you is actually my method of choice, is where you put one color on the right hand and one on the left. And let me get loaded up here. Alright, so we're going to do knitting throwing style with this hand and picking style with this hand. So we're going to knit, and then we're going to pick and knit and pick. And that is the way I think is most efficient to do it, and kind of fun. I don't normally knit continental, but I like to do it for color work. So that's how you do the first round. Now on to round 2. Round 2 is a purl round, and it's one we're going to also alternate colors, but we're going to carry the yarn in the front so that our floats, the yarn that we're not using, gets carried across the front of the work in a planned manner. So you get these diagonal lines that go across. And this requires that you cross the yarn over in a specific manner, and that means that it gets a little difficult now to hold the yarn in one hand. And as you do this round, your yarn is going to get very twisted, but power through it, because then when we do the next round, it's going to go the opposite direction and it's going to untwist itself. So to do this round, we're going to alternate purl stitches. Bring both your yarns to the front. We're going to alternate purl stitches, and each time we do one, you're going to drop the color and bring the other color over the top of the one that was just used. And that's what makes those diagonal floats appear along here. So this takes longer than the previous round because you can't do it quite as efficiently. Drop it and pick it up. Okay, and there you can see we're getting this diagonal look. And again, it's going to get really twisted, but manage it as best you can, and I'll come back and show you on round 3, and it will untwist it all. Now we're going to move on to round 3, and this is where we're going to untwist this mess that you get by the time you get to the end of round 2. So we're going to do the same thing in round 3, except for you're going to carry your yarn under the preceding color instead. So we're going to pull it under. I'll try to keep my big old hands out of the way here, but the yarn is a little fiddly at this point. It gets kind of wound up. I think the result looks really nice. You just have to be a little patient with how the yarn gets kind of tangled up as you go. So now each time I'm pulling the next color under the tail of the one that I just used, instead of over like we did in the previous round. And this causes the diagonal floats again, but they go in the opposite direction. Oops, just one. Okay, so here's our floats from this round, going the opposite direction as the ones we did before. I'm going to finish this round, then I'll come back and show you a nice way to finish this off. Now one more little comment about this. I think it's nice after you finish row 3 and your yarn is all untangled again, yay, that you just do one plain knit round, usually with your main color after that, and it really does give it a final finished look to this. Now I've shown this knit into the middle of a project and it works fine. It's stretchy just like the stockinette knitting is. But this also makes a great border. You can cast on and then do rounds 1, 2, and 3, and it makes a great edging on, you know, anything, sleeves or a hat. It's a fun technique, adds color and a little pizzazz, and I hope you enjoy doing it.